My name is Don Nori Sr. Today I want to start talking to you a little bit about spiritual pioneers. It's interesting that when we think about spiritual pioneers, we normally think of men and women who lived a long, long time ago, as though spiritual pioneers no longer exist today, almost as though spiritual pioneers have been made bigger than they really were. Not that spiritual pioneers of the past weren't great men and women, but they were just that. They were men and women. They were men and women just like you and I. And although they are revered in death, most of the time they were shunned, often condemned in life, because what makes a pioneer is that he walks beyond the accepted borderline of society, and in our case, since we're talking about spiritual pioneers, the accepted borders of Christian spirituality. But we have to understand that Christian spirituality is a lot bigger and a lot more expansive than we were ever allowed to believe that is true. But today, spiritual pioneers are rising up again, and there are far more of them than will ever be talked about or remembered in Christian history books or in Christian theological seminaries, because Christian pioneers are in every field of life. They are everyday people who have determined in their heart that they're not going to accept the status quo. They know there is more to this thing called serving God than they have been led to believe. And spiritual pioneers are by spiritual nature, they are passionately in love. They are passionately in love with their Lord, and that is really what drives them to the edge of accepted orthodoxy, or what I like to say, to the brink of human disaster. It's at the brink where either you make it or you fail. It's where Columbus sailed when he crossed the ocean, wondering if at one moment there would be this gigantic waterfall, and he would just be on that brink where the ship just sails over the end into he didn't know what, some great nothingness. Pioneers like the first space travelers, from Shepard back in 1961 to Armstrong, who landed on the moon. These are truly pioneers. But there's yet an undiscovered frontier, and that undiscovered frontier is the realm of spirit. It's that place beyond time and space that cannot be calculated, aggregated, or defined by the five senses. Therefore, it is dismissed by the most intellectual, scientific members of our society, because if it cannot be quantified, then it does not exist. It's a shame, because they miss the massive frontier that they will never, ever touch. Well, there are spiritual pioneers that understand that in this place of spirit, Jesus dwells. And Jesus' whole plan is for that which is invisible to become visible. If you remember, Jesus prayed, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it already is in heaven." There are going to be people who are seeing his kingdom in spirit, and who are going to submit themselves to the work of the Lord in their lives, so that he can adequately live his life through them in the way that he wants to do that. I'm not interested in being like Jesus. I want him to live his life through me, so that when people see me, like Paul, I can say, "It is no longer I that lives, but it's Christ who lives in me. And the life that I now live, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who gave himself for me." There is an undiscovered reality, and it is the reality of spirit that the spiritual pioneers of today are going to explore. And unlike others, we are not really looking for things, we're looking for Him. We're looking for the Lord Jesus and all His reality and all His power and all His might. And when we find Him, we'll find Him in agreement with His Word in ways that we have never thought to understand or interpret the Word. But we'll talk about that a little bit more the next time. Thanks. God bless you. Listen, if you enjoy this, share it on your own page, and please let others know this is what we're talking about. If you have questions or comments, please feel free. I'd love to hear from you. Bye-bye.